Hi, I'm Tina Desiree Berg reporting for Status Coup News. I'm on the ground here in Atlanta, Georgia, covering the Cop City Week of Action. I'm right now standing in front of the Referendum office. So there is now going to be a referendum, hopefully if they get enough signatures, on the ballot in November that would allow the people to decide whether the Cop City goes through. We've seen multiple city council meetings now where people have come out and spoken against having this happen. It has not moved the needle in the city council.
So many are being killed every day. These people that have been killed, these young men, because it's wrong, it is wrong, and no one is caring. And I'm here to ask, are you all going to care? That's what I want to know. Are you all going to care? Is anyone going to answer? So that's why I came to speak against the Cop City.
They vote to approve more funding for it a couple of weeks ago, so now that tag is up to like $67 million from the city side. Quick question, you just came in when I was talking with the folks that are putting on the referendum to stop Cop City, and you signed the petition. So what was the reason that you came down here to sign the referendum today?
Yeah, I feel like the citizens of the city have the right for themselves to choose, to vote on this issue. I feel like we haven't really been heard with the city council vote. And basically everything up until now has kind of been behind closed doors. There's been a lack of transparency. So, yeah, I think this should be given to the citizens, among other reasons. Yeah.
What are some of the reasons? I mean, do you have political problems with Cop City,
Certainly.
whether it's criminal justice reform, some of those things? Or?
Certainly, yeah. From an environmental standpoint, it's certainly a bad look to clear cut so many trees.
Yeah.
From a social equity standpoint, to build a really what I call a police playground in the middle of black and brown neighborhood, the optics of it just look really bad. So there's tons of other places they can put this thing. I also really much disagree with the price tag they're putting on this. If they could just pay cops more instead of buying them fancy toys, I personally feel that would do way more to incentivize cops to recruit cops, to keep cops, and there's just so many other solutions.
So a guy just walked by us as we're doing this, and he said, it's not Cop City, it's a public training safety center or something like this, which is what they've been trying to call it. Cop City is obviously something that activists have dubbed it. What would your response be to that guy? It seems to me that you either have folks like him that have maybe read some press releases or some local journalism that doesn't really get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on there. The 12 gun ranges, the Black Rock landing pad.
Right, the militarization of the police force.
Yeah. So if you were to convince that guy, what would we say to him? Is that possible, do you think?
I would say, although there are elements of it that are certainly, I believe, designed to improve public safety, and I think that certainly needs to be addressed, and we should be investing in public safety and all these outreach efforts, and training is important for everyone, police, fire, first response, but the amount of they're spending on the gun ranges, like you said.
Yeah, one would do, right? We don't need 12 sort of a thing.
Yeah, invest in human capital. Let's not put so much money in buying fancy,
military
toys.
Stuff. Yeah,
toys. It's Cop City. I call it Cop Playground because it's full of cop toys, and it's
that's a good description. Right on. Appreciate your time, Paul. So I did speak with them on background inside, which means, for folks that don't know what that means they talked to me off the record. But I'm going to relay some of the information that they gave to me just to clarify the nuts and bolts of this referendum. All right, so one of the parameters that the signature people that signed the petition have to make is that they were registered to vote in the city of Atlanta in 2021, which means if you register to vote after this October deadline 2021, you cannot have a valid signature on this. The reason for it is that it has to be somebody that voted on the last election cycle. So it seems like maybe a random parameter, but it's how the city has this structured. So that last municipal election was October 2021. So the pool of voters here in the city of Atlanta is $400,000. The threshold they have to make is 15% of that, so it's about 70,000 signatures. So once they get this done, their August 14th is the deadline. They submit the signatures to the city, and a third party is going to go through these signatures with a fine-tooth comb. They're probably going to try to challenge some of them, try to get some of them thrown out, but hopefully they'll be over the 70,000 threshold so it becomes a non-issue. The review process lasts a whole 90 days. If they get past the 50-day review process, it lands on the ballot in November. One of the things they mentioned to me is the November ballot has a school board election on it at the same time. You know, of course, my question to that is like, have you been battling right-wing extremists at your school boards here locally in Atlanta? We've seen this in other places in the country, because I think that could possibly have an effect of who turns out to vote on this referendum. The answer was no, that they haven't really struggled with that here in Atlanta. They do have competitive races. About 2/3 of the seats are going to be up for re-election, but they don't think it's going to be a hindrance, but it might help them actually get people to turn out to vote. They did mention there's some voter fatigue in Atlanta because there's been a lot of elections lately, so they're going to have to do a Get the Vote Out campaign. They think they can effectively convince people to come out and vote on this issue because it is an important issue. So every day they are training signature gatherers here at this facility. And I want to mention, as we've been here, we've seen multiple people come in to sign this. Multiple people. It's been a steady flow of people. So there's obviously a lot of support here with 3 days into signature gathering, and lots of people are coming out. Also important, there are no paid signature gatherers. Sometimes with referendums, sometimes with ballot measures, campaigns will hire people and they will pay them per signature. That is not happening with this. It is 100% all volunteers, so there's no money that's affecting why people are doing this. So you have signature gatherers coming in, they're getting trained here at the facility, and they're going out door to door and trying to get more signatures. So, of course, the last question I had was, if this referendum passes, and it seems likely that it will given how many people are against this, is there a way for the city council to still say, no, we're going to go ahead and go through with this with our plans? Of course, the answer was yes, they'll probably try, and there could be some legal challenges. But we'll see how that turns out when we get to that bridge. So we'll be keeping an eye on this referendum vote. It's the deadline is August 14th for the signatures, November election.